Right, we're waiting for a couple more people to come on. They're getting ready to log in now, and then we'll get started.
Sounds good.
This is fun.
All right, everybody, we're going to get started. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for everybody for joining today's special presentation. Looks like we have North Club, Florence, Millard. What else we got? Got Carl Lake or Council Bluffs, I believe.
We got Brian as well too.
Brian? Good. So today's presentation is going to be brought to you by Kiewit Construction. It's a premier construction company here in Omaha, but they are a worldwide company and do a lot of great things in the community. Boys and Girls Club and Kiewit have a long time relationship, and we always try to get them involved with what we're doing, especially career-wise. There are a lot of great career opportunities with Kiewit, a lot of different areas from IT, HR, construction management, engineering. But we have Nick on to talk about those different aspects and to also take any questions. AJ has us on the YouTube channel live, so we'll be broadcasting on that as well. So thank you all for joining us this evening, and I'll hand it off to Nick.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. I'm going to share my screen here with a PowerPoint. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep, we got it.
Yep.
Okay, good deal. So, as you mentioned, I'm going to be talking about Kiewit here. So I was going to give an introduction to myself, and then an overview of Kiewit, project overview, obviously mainly the projects that I've been a part of, and then talk a little bit about the different career paths. So starting out here, so I started with Kiewit in 2007 as a carpenter apprentice, and joined the apprenticeship and worked my way up to a carpenter foreman. You can see there in 2008. Shortly after that, carpenter general foreman. So that's just added responsibilities, more people overseeing. Then in 2000, would have been late 2010. So I was a carpenter, so I was an hourly employee. I was asked to go to salaried employees, we call staff. So you'll hear me refer to craft or staff. So I converted from craft to staff. So you can see as craft superintendent, and then superintendent 2, which is obviously a step above craft superintendent. Then superintendent 3, and then currently I am a general superintendent for Kiewit. So that is and I'll get a little more in depth here as we go into my path. That's just kind of an overview. So Kiewit was started in 1884 as a small family-owned business. Actually started here in Omaha. Today, the workforce, you can see there's 12,000 staff and 11,000 skilled craft workers. So as you mentioned, we're big worldwide, but yet I like to think we're still like here. It still feels like we're that small town here in Omaha. So that's kind of my overview on it. Kiewit's core values are people, integrity, excellence, and stewardship. And feel free, interrupt me at any time if there's any questions as we go. Hopefully there will be sometime or towards the end here. So Kiewit Construction Company, you can see here, these are our different markets. So building, that's what I'm a part of. So build buildings. And you'll get to see some buildings here in a little bit. Industrial, that's your plants, anything from dog food plants to we're currently doing a tissue plant. So just your industrial plants. Mining, you can see there, oil, gas, and chemical. So this is getting to be a pretty big market. We recently completed, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's the largest natural gas facility in Maryland. And then we are currently building one that I believe is going to be bigger down in Louisiana. So natural gas is getting to be a big commodity. Then power, so that's your power plants. Transportation, bridges, roads. Don't see a lot of that locally, but we are a large transportation contractor in the United States. And then water and wastewater. So that's, underground sewer, underground water, treatment plants, that sort. Any questions so far? Okay. So talking about some of the different career paths, as I mentioned myself, I did not go to college. I out of high school, I went for a short time and just wasn't for me. So I got into the trades as a carpenter, like I mentioned earlier. So locally, Kiewit has carpenters, laborers, operators, and concrete finishers. But nationally, and I didn't list them all, but Kiewit has pretty much every trade out there. You can see I listed a few more there: iron workers, pipe fitters, electricians, plumbers. So that's the trade route. And then on the office side, we're getting larger and larger in design and engineering, both here in Omaha and based out of Denver. So there is a lot of our bridges. We're getting into designing and then going out and building them. Then, like you mentioned earlier, accounting, HR. So a lot of different options out there. So getting into, once again, my path, you'll see these projects grow in size. That's the nice thing. One of my big things with people is work ethic. And if you're willing to work hard, have a good positive attitude, I think the sky's the limit. So anyway, I started out in the field swinging a hammer. About 4 years into my career, they asked if I was interested in possibly running some work, being a superintendent. So this was my first project. It's on, I remember here, 13th and between Harney and Howard. And you can see, so the big First National Tower you see in the back and even the parking garage, that's not my project. My project was the little planter walls and then the little "I live in Omaha" sign you see there. That was my project, pretty small one. But it was good learning, good spot to start and to learn. Moving on from there, I built a little branch bank down on 50th and Ames, First National Bank. So one of the things that I, obviously I always liked building. That's why I got into this, but I just think it's neat to think, and I wish I did a better job taking pictures, but this was just a parking lot. So to go from a parking lot and in a certain period of time, and then you have this is pretty rewarding. Then here, PayPal. This wasn't part of the entire facility. It's just the silver facade you see there. It's actually a severe weather shelter. So if there was a tornado, all the employees there in PayPal would go into this all concrete structure. Behind that silver panels is all concrete. So as I mentioned, you can kind of see that the projects are growing. So this was a remodel for the Peter Kiewit Foundation. So this was an existing building, and basically went in and gutted the floor and this was probably one of my, from a finish standpoint, one of the higher end projects. And a lot of fun. Any questions so far? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh, okay. So here, once again, so this is Boys Town, 132nd and Dodge. You can see this building from Dodge Street. When we pulled up here, this was a dirt field. So, like I said, just kind of neat to, I wish I had more before and after pictures so you can really be proud of what you do here at Kiewit. Moving on from there, I went out west, 180th and Dodge. Once again, this was all just a greenfield. Built the Madonna Rehabilitation Hospital. It's about a 260,000 square feet rehab hospital. That's another thing I guess I'd say, whether it's hospital or TD Ameritrade ballpark. It's always fun to go back, maybe not to the hospital, but I have been back to Madonna recently due to some family members being there. And just it's nice to be a part of that. Know you were a part of building it. Then here, so we have a yard and a shop roughly on 60th and I-80. It's kind of tucked down below, but I ran that yard and all our manpower in Omaha for about a year. And then some of the other stuff we do is Kiewit's very large, has a lot of equipment nationwide. So on that picture on the right, you can see we're actually taking apart the tower crane that helped put up the HDR headquarters in Exarban Village. If you went down Dodge Street, 84th, over the last year, you would have seen 3 tower cranes there building the addition on Children's Hospital. So that's just a picture taking the tower crane down there at HDR. And then this is a, so I was after the overseeing the yard and our manpower, I went out, didn't start, but I finished HDR's headquarters there in Exarban Village, right in the UNO area. So this is HDR headquarters here. And then where I am currently at, and we are actually in crunch time finishing, got a little 10-second video here, maybe. Oop. Well, as you can see, I'm not in the IT department. So anyway, so this is the Kiewit headquarters here. And this was one of the ironworkers' tradition when they set the last steel beam. They call it a topping out. But the tradition is, you can see there on the left side of the screen, that little cedar tree, that's an ironworker tradition. So they put that tree up there, and then you can see the flag on the other side. So anyway, this was the last beam we set on the Kiewit headquarters project, which you'll see a couple other pictures here in a minute. This is the Kiewit headquarters project. You can see the steel structure, and then it got encased with precast panels. If you drive by the building now, you would think that's a brick building. Looks like brick, but nowadays precast, which is basically pouring slabs and then and setting in the brick, makes buildings go up a lot quicker. So here you can see, and then you can see the crane. The crane's actually, we got it set down because I think it was going to be a stormy night that night. But that crane there reached up and over this building. It's an 8-story building, and then would set all the steel and precast and windows. So that was pretty neat. Here, this was actually just a few weeks ago in the middle of Harney Street between 17th and 18th. So this, I mean, this is the kind of stuff I like, you know, unique opportunities. But basically we pulled this crane out into the middle of Harney Street Saturday morning, and by Saturday evening, it was back on our site, and the street was open, and you'd never know we were there. So that's the courthouse there on between Farnham and Harney Street. So some of the local options, and I didn't list them all, I just listed a few, but obviously you got the college route, Metro, UNO, UNL, Wayne State. We have a few carpenters that work for us currently that are also going to Metro Community College, one of which is actually my son. He's 18, has an interest in construction, and like I say, he's going to Metro as well. So he's getting a little bit of field experience and some schooling both at the same time. And then, like I mentioned earlier, some of the trades, like I said, locally, Kiewit employs carpenters, laborers, concrete finishers, and operators. But we are daily working with, all the trades it takes to build the building: plumbers, electricians, steam fitters, insulator, iron workers. And there's both, our Kiewit employees are, go through the union, but our subcontractors range both union and non-union. So there's a little variety there. So that was, I guess, a quick presentation. I'll open it up to any questions, comments for me. That picture there you can see, so that is just a couple mornings ago. So that is the Kiewit headquarters, and then it's kind of hard to see to the left there is the 3-story parking garage. So that crane you've seen sitting in that A position was sitting just to the left of the Kiewit sign there. So
Hey, Nick, we got a question. From your perspective, would it be better to do a trade or go to college?
ooh, that's a tough one. I'm just going to be honest and candid. When I was graduating high school, it seemed like the message was you got to go to college. I feel like that's changed over the past few years, and trades are definitely making a comeback. Both are great. College isn't for some people, and I was one of them. But obviously I'm proof 14 years later with Kiewit, you can still make a career without a college degree. Like I said, I'd go back to that work ethic comment. Like I mentioned, my son, he's doing the college thing. One thing in my opinion, if you're getting into construction, and you do go the college route, I think it's good. Even if it's your summers, you get some actually field experience out there, whether it's swinging a hammer or being electrician helper, whatever you're going to college for, but getting some field experience, I think, is important.
And AJ had another question that came in from the group. How was your son's experience with opportunity he is involved in?
Well, he is 3 months into it now. So, so far so good. As I mentioned, the projects we build, it's kind of neat to be able to say I was a part of that or even go back to it. His first job he worked on was the new UNO softball and baseball complex that's currently under construction. So he's enjoying it, and he's actually he's enjoying school as well. So far so good.
And then, of course, they want to know about pay.
Sure.
So from where you started at, from a typical, someone coming on in the beginning, and then kind of the process up until the career path to where you are now, what does that pay look like?
So I want to say on a trades, from a trades perspective, I'm going to say, and don't quote me, this will be within probably a buck or two. The lowest, most of the trades, and I'll speak union because that's what I'm familiar with, because that's what Kiewit locally is. You're going to start out as a first year apprentice, which is the bottom of the pay scale. You're going to be, I think it's between $15 and $17 on the low end. Laborers being one of the lower scales to where, like an electrician, for example, they're one of the higher scales locally and really probably even nationwide. So to answer the question, I would say starting out as a first-year apprentice, you're going to be in that, and maybe 15 is getting to be a little low now. I'd say $17 range. Obviously there's health and insurance and benefits. They'll now that a lot of that's the union. I'm talking union wise. They're going to have good insurance and benefits. And then if you were, say, to go to college, and one thing I didn't mention, but Kiewit has a large internship program. So students will come on for, I don't know, a month to 3 months during the summer. And that's an actual hourly. The internship program's an hourly, and I don't know what that is. I think it's in the low $20 an hour. But then coming out of college, if you apply at Kiewit and you get an offer, I honestly don't know what those salaries are ranging from out of college. I honestly couldn't tell you. I would guess $50,000 to $70,000 range. Like I say, that's a guess.
Next question is, what's the next big project for Kiewit?
Well, locally, I showed a picture with the Crane and Harney Street, so that's where I'm going next, which is the Douglas County Justice Center. That's going to be an 8-story all glass building. Looks similar to that HDR headquarters, and then on the south end of that site is going to be a 4-story youth center. We are getting ready to build a building, and I don't know the details, at the Omaha Performing Arts Center. We're getting ready to start another, I think it's a 2-story building down by the old ConAgra campus. I mentioned earlier, Children's Hospital is still going on. That'll be wrapping up in 2021. And then, we got a building going on out west, Valmont's new headquarters, about 144th and Dodge. That's local. Other than that, some of the bigger projects, we're doing a large railway project in Washington, D.C. I mentioned the large natural gas facility in Louisiana. And those projects, some of those, like the natural gas project, you're talking hundreds of acres. I think I've heard they got around 60 cranes on site. So they make everything I showed here look very small. And that's where I mentioned, there's all different opportunities. Some people want to travel all over the United States and build a building or a bridge or a plant in one state, and then a couple years later be in a different state. And some people want to set their roots in, kind of like I have in Omaha. So a lot of different opportunities.
All right, we got questions are rolling in now.
Good.
So what's different between someone going into the trades and someone going to college?
Well, to be honest with you, generally the people coming out of college are going to have more of the computer skills, math skills, maybe even, I don't know if blueprint reading would be, that might be about even, as opposed to the tradesmen or women are going to be, they're going to have more of that, what I call building knowledge, how to build stuff. That's why when you asked me a question, which is better, I said if I were to do it over, I'd maybe put a little more effort into the college, but I wouldn't trade my field experience. So I would try to do both, as I mentioned my son's doing, but for some people that's just doesn't work. So so they both have their pluses and minuses. If you can meet in the middle with some of the computer skills and some of the field skills, that's what I think is most valuable. The people that come out of college and don't have that field experience, obviously we have a lot of people to help mentor and train them. And I mean, even me coming in as a carpenter, I knew how to do carpenter work, pour concrete and all that stuff, but I didn't know a lot about electrical, heating and air, that sort of thing. How I learned it is being out in the field watching and not being afraid to ask questions. So, I mean, all my knowledge on that stuff has came from the field experience being out there.
Good deal. So what would be your advice to a high school student that's interested in the trades, and how soon can a student be involved with the internship program?
So interested in the trades, and I've done this with a few high school people, because everybody doesn't know whether you want to be a iron worker walking on a beam 130 feet in the air, or you're afraid of heights, and you want to be an electrician. So I've taken some people out on a job and just walked them around and said, hey, you can physically see what they're doing. There's what an electrician does. That's what a steam fitter does. Anybody's welcome to reach out to me. I can make sure and get you my contact info. I know it's kind of tough lately with job tours due to the pandemic, but typically we will give tours on job sites, and you can see all the different trades. So it just kind of depends, and you may get into a trade and say, you know what, I've seen guys switch from being a carpenter to going to being an electrician. So I think you got to just go with what you feel, and not be afraid to change if you're not happy.
Another question here. Sorry, I was on mute there. Another question is, does Kiewit ever partner with other local and or national companies?
It's a good question.
Depending on how big the projects are.
That's a real good question. Yes is the answer, both locally and nationally. And an example I can give you is Stratcom, which is at the Offutt Air Force Base. Unless you're in that area, a lot of people may not have seen it or heard from it, but long story short, it's a 6-story building, 4 of which is below ground. So that's the command center. If something were to go bad in the United States, that's where a lot of the calls would be made. That job was, it was called, the contractor was Kiewit Phelps. So Hensel Phelps is another large nationally contractor that we partnered with. Turner, I don't know if anybody gets kind of southwest down the Highway 50 area, but there's some large data centers going in, and Turner Construction's one of them. We partner with Turner Construction. We recently did the VA hospital in Denver. Well, I don't know if it's Denver or close to Denver, right around Denver area, with Turner Construction. And then we currently are doing an addition on the Florida, I don't know which one, if it's Tampa, but an airport with Turner. So depending on the size of usually it's the larger projects that the client, when I say large, I'm talking, roughly 500 million and up. So 500 million to multiple billion. Some clients don't want to put all their eggs in one basket and want one contractor. But obviously Kiewit, being one of the largest construction companies in the world, can do them. I mean, that LNG facility, the natural gas facility I talked about in Louisiana, I don't even know. I think that's a $2 or $3 billion job that we're doing solo. So.
Nice. And last question I have here. Well, second to last question. What types of benefits are there to the job? And so I would say, are there like health benefits, all that type, the necessary stuff? And then also, what are the perks?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, yes, there's health benefits. Kiewit has very good health benefits. I would say a perk that Kiewit is above even some of the local contractors is we call PTO, paid time off. So, I don't even know what you get, how many weeks you get when you sign on for PTO, but then I think it's every 5 years you get an extra week. So whatever you start out at with, if it's 3, 4, or 5 weeks, then after 5 years, and that's annually, you get that PTO. Then after 5 years, you'd get an additional week each year, and then so on and so forth. So good health benefits, paid time off, and I mean, I guess I'd like to say the people are great.
Good deal. I think that's all the questions I have right now. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, or if there's any other questions out there, you can either unmute yourself and ask or put them in the chat real quick. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Nick.
Just, thanks for having me, and don't hesitate to reach out. Like I say, if I can give job tours, be glad to, or even if somebody's just got some questions, they can call me too. So I'll get you my info, and you can distribute as needed.
For sure. And I will say about the internship program, we did have a scholarship recipient participate in a Kiewit internship a few summers ago, and she ended up doing 2 summers. So she was actually doing an internship for a couple of years, worked on several local projects. She was actually lucky. Most interns, could be shipped off to maybe California or Colorado or DC, somewhere else in the country. So she was pretty lucky to stay local. When she graduated with her construction management degree from UNO, she did get a full-time job with Kiewit and started working out in Colorado Springs, and did a few projects out in the DC area. So she is a living testimony that the internship program is greatly beneficial, and then also led into a full-time job right into her career right after college. So the internship program is a great benefit to those that want to go into those fields.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions out there? If not, we will take roll. Jana, AJ, take roll of participants this evening. And thank you, Nick, for doing the presentation. And if you want to put you can email me your contact information, and then we'll keep that on hand. And
okay.
As we progress forward, we'll definitely reach out to you.
That sounds good.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Stay safe and have a good Christmas.
All right. Everybody do the same thing.
All
Thanks.
right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.